Having yourselves a fantastic morning this morning as we get set to bring you an incredible wake-up call with Dan Tortora, an unforgettable wake-up call with Dan Tortora, in my opinion. So very excited to bring this your way and happy to have you here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Of course, Cafe Kubal, located for you all throughout central and upstate New York. You can find them by going to 3501 James Street as well as 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse, New York, inside of Galisanos Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse. And of course, you can find them on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse at their drive-through location. And you can also find them on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, where we were last week with Jason Leone, who went on from there to win 2 games in the SUNYAC tournament as Oswego State advances to the NCAA Division III tournament with an opportunity at a national championship. Speaking of national championship, coming up here in just a couple minutes, I have 2 coaches that are on their way to Richmond with the opportunity to win national championships themselves in the USCAA Division I for small colleges. Bryant and Stratton Syracuse women's basketball as well as men's basketball have the opportunity to be one of 8 teams vying for the chance to win a national championship. And before they go there, we will showcase our food challenge at Mother's Cupboard with the fantastic gentleman Clay Gagan Sherman, women's basketball head coach, and Dan Frisina, men's basketball head coach of Bryant and Stratton Syracuse. Join myself and co-owner of Mother's Cupboard, Pete Greene, as we tackle another wake-up call food challenge, which happens every single month at Mother's Cupboard. And our food challenge this month is following an awesome opportunity for Pete and I to sit down with Dan and Clay we have a dual food challenge. We have a breakfast sandwich, sausage, egg, and cheese, and we have French toast, the cinnamon swirl French toast, but twisted a different way with some blue food coloring to honor Bryant and Stratton and to give them all the good feels as they head toward the opportunity for a national championship. So, cinnamon swirl French toast, colored blue, blue frosting, and a breakfast sandwich. It's both. The French toast and the sandwich together got to finish it all, and we'll show you who wins that challenge right after this fast break inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. But before we go there, I want to let you know as well, at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, I'll be joined by Roosevelt Bouie Jr. to talk the state of Syracuse basketball. And then at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, I'll be joined by Terrence Roberts to do the same thing, 2 Syracuse Orange alumni, to speak on their basketball program, always brothers within the program, and to tell us what they think about Syracuse basketball. And we'll round out the show like we always do on Tuesdays with the ingredients to success, proudly brought to you by Avicolli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for you. Come back inside the Cafe Kubal studios. It is time to join us for our newest edition of the Bobcat Buzz, which happens exclusively monthly here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. This edition of the Bobcat Buzz features Mother's Cupboard in a twofer. Mother's Cupboard Food Challenge with my guy Pete Greene, my guys Clay Gagan Sherman and Dan Frisina of the Bobcats. Bobcat Buzz, Mother's Cupboard Food Challenge for what I'm calling Mother's Madness as we step into March. That's all coming up after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Follow us back for some fun.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cubal needs. Cafe Cubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations, party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. What's up, everybody? We're doing Tortora of WakeUpCall for another edition of our food challenge. This time, we're challenging the Bryant and Stratton Bobcats here in Syracuse. Men's basketball head coach Dan Frisina, women's basketball head coach Clay Gagan, Sherman, owner Pete Greene, myself, Dan Tortora. And this is part of our celebration of this month being the jump off of our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Bryant and Stratton. Excellent. And we made the blue French toast for this, so thanks to Pete for that. Our challenge is the first double challenge we've ever done, where we have the breakfast sandwich and the French toast. It's whoever gets done first claims themselves the winner, and whoever wins, I think we all win, because Bryant and Stratton here in our community, we're hoping for good things for you guys coming up here. Very excited about it. So for Dan, Clay, Pete, and I, gentlemen, I'm going to count it down. Start your engines. Okay? Three. Clay's been waiting since I started. Ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1, and go. All right. Sir, ready, quick.
Got quiet.
I got very quiet. Yes.
Why don't you use that as your excuse? I tell you, a couple guys we did contest with knew how to conversate, keep Dan going, and he was
That's what we're talking about.
it was just conversation.
Shout out Nate Champion, you won because you asked me to on the show.
Listen, I grew up in a house with 3 other brothers.
Oh yeah.
If you didn't eat fast, you didn't eat. So, this is a challenge that I'm okay with.
The first challenge that we had, that the guy won, he said he had 5 kids at home. So he finished a pancake in 4 minutes, 4:20 or something. 20 pancakes here today.
Oh, it was just. It's funny because we all look the same, but I look around and I go, yeah.
Danny's sandwich is almost done. Clay's is halfway.
Athletes.
Where did the other half go?
People always say, who eats more? And I'm like, honestly, the skinnier they are, the more they eat. The track team eats like crazy.
I'm going to get to a point in this meal where I'm just going to stop and enjoy it. So Danny, tell me about your childhood.
It was fun.
You grew up around here, I guess.
Clay's been fasting so that he can be prepared. No?
Now last year, I just want to enjoy it. Last week we got off to a slow start. I'm confident we'll pick it up here. So far ahead.
You ever figure out our average? Like,
Our time?
yeah.
I think cross country did it in like a minute. Actually, it was like, I think it was like 3 something. It was 4. And then when you and I did the chicken and waffles, it was like 10. We were over it.
That was good. I like that. I want to try that again.
Well, because you put a lot of chicken on there, you're chicken and waffles, right?
So what was it like having Adam in from
That was fun.
yeah.
It was a long day, but it was fun.
It's cool seeing Syracuse be put on the map, especially in small places like this.
Absolutely. They were here, I'm going to say from 8 in the morning to like 3 in the morning.
Really? Holy cow.
Yeah, the production team was crazy.
Yeah.
One of the problems was there was stuff between the trees there and the road.
Gosh. So they needed
We had to shut the heat off, like everything had to be off because of the sound. But I'd be dead quiet here, and the trains were like, we'd have to redo it, but
How many times did you have to redo it until you got it?
he ate them out in one sitting. But when we did production of making it, they took many angles and many, like, I don't believe how slow you have to move. Like, literally, when I drop pepperoni, I'm like this. Oh, wow. And I have to let it kind of fall. And he's like, you're too fast. And I go, at first I was like, normally not here. And they were like, whoa, 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 you can't move that fast. But the digital camera system they had made the screen look like awesome. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. Then you got me talking.
Danny's just like how rich people just slowly cut in,
And then you see,
take a little bite.
good and great on.
Caviar.
I'm gonna pull the Usain Bolt here and just start looking behind me as I cross the finish line.
slows down.
That's what we had with one of them. We had the guy that stopped, looked around us, and then took his last plate.
All right, cheers, boys.
Huh?
Wow.
Unless I'm counting the powdered sugar.
Well, you got it.
I got killed.
So that
Right down.
is done here. So in less than 6 minutes, because I did an intro.
Well,
So in 5 and some change.
I'm actually kind of embarrassed by that.
So in less than 6 minutes time, Dan Frisina, the men's basketball head coach at Bryant and Stratton for the Bobcats, has taken this championship with Bryant and Stratton, this food challenge, and others covered for us. You got to wake up call today at Tortora. The breakfast sandwich with
Delicious, absolutely.
very good egg, cheese, and sausage, and of course the swirl French toast with blue for Bryant and Stratton. Danny took it. Clay will take second.
he's in.
So we have Brian Stratton took this entire challenge here. We have Dan Frisina first, Clay Gagan, Sherman women's basketball head coach second. I would imagine I'm fighting for third, and Pete Greene, the owner, are coming in last place. So once again, I think it's our seat.
I think you guys are just being kind.
I think it's whoever sits here. Because whoever sits in this region is always 1 and 2, and then this region's always last. I think it's just seat here. So,
Supper with, what was his name, the coach for there?
oh yeah, with Dave was here. So,
We ate that thing like it was a mini burger.
Little slider.
I think it's fair though that your program started first at Bryant and Stratton, and then right after that we started women's basketball here. So, is there any other things that you guys compete with? You and
I I mean, he's got a better overall record than I do. We started, when we started our program, we started kind of slow, kind of worked our way up. He went to nationals his first year as head coach, so last year because of COVID, there was no national championship, so it's 2 years of eligibility. I think that he's gonna be going this year, so he's 2 for 2. So yeah, we try to stay competitive in that way, and
Who's a better basketball player from the court?
All right, so I'll say this. I'll give it to him. I'll say this.
I think that was Nick. Nick came over and knocked over the cameras. I don't want to say who's going.
He's definitely in better shape than I am now. I mean, he's probably a better player now. I can't. I tried playing college though, and I didn't. So yeah, I tried running up and down with my guys, and it's just it's not in the cards anymore, man. I can hit a set shot here and there, but
Young legs.
yeah.
I'm notorious for playing kids one-on-one, so that's one of my favorite things to do. Is to walk into Danny's gym when one of the guys is just warming up. He's kind of cool still, just trying to play a one-on-one real quick, get a couple buckets. So
I can't get my daughter to play one-on-one. Shoot all day, shoot around, the one-on-one, we can't get her to go.
No, if my guys challenge me to one-on-one, I just tell them that there's a younger coach down the hall that'll take them up for the challenge, but it won't be me. So.
Fair enough. So, with the food challenge, this time around, the money's covered at 3709 James Street in Syracuse, known all over the world. The victory to Dan Frisina, congratulations.
Thank you.
Second place, the play Gabe and Sherman, and Pete and I are just happy to be here.
Right here, you're left.
That is really not fair. So that being said, thank you so much. Go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com for more information. And of course, on WakeUpCall with Dan Tortora, stay tuned for all of our awesome videos. We have this exclusive multimedia marketing partnership, our videos, our interviews, and everything we get to do with the Bobcats to support our community here in Central and Upstate New York. And put a name out there for fantastic coaches and awesome people. Thanks, guys.
Awesome, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond. You can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory delivery available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Make sure you make your way out to the Millhouse Market today and every Tuesday through Sunday for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can enjoy the Millhouse Market in so many different ways, including by going inside of their general store, as well as with local products from local companies, as well as their drive-through window. Grab your food and go. You can call in to order right on the Millhouse Market app, which you can download by going to the Google Play or Apple App Store. And once you are there, you can grab everything you need. It has a full menu there and directions to the Millhouse Market, so you can get everything that you need on the app, get directions, grab your food at the drive-through window, and carry on your way. And make it keep it simple, easy, contactless pay. You can tip on the app as well. And of course, they have their indoor dining bistro menu that changes every single week, so you can come back and try something new. Ingrained in our taste buds and ingrained in our community, the Millhouse Market, their entire sandwich board is named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski. They do so much in the community, so much for us, and the flavors that they have there are unlike any other. Head out to the Millhouse Market today to enjoy all of their incredible treats, sandwiches, as well as their salads, brick oven pizzas, and everything they have to offer, including their awesome general store with local products from local companies, as I had mentioned before. So make sure you head out to the Millhouse Market today. And thank you so much for everybody for supporting local 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. Worth the drive every time. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, I'm honored and I'm privileged to have here on the broadcast with us coming up in just a moment here at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We have Roosevelt Bouie Jr., and then at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll be joined by Terrence Roberts, both inside the Cafe Kubal studios and here in Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin'. These two Syracuse Orange men's basketball alumni will be telling us their thoughts on the current state of Syracuse basketball and what they've taken away from this season thus far, as Syracuse comes off of an overtime loss to North Carolina on the road in Chapel Hill. So a lot of great stuff coming up, speaking on Syracuse basketball, and I always love talking with my alumni and appreciate them so very much. Rosie is no stranger to the broadcast. He's been on the show for many, many years now, and I'm always appreciative of his time and, more than anything, his friendship. So with that being said, we'll bring Rosie on here for the first of two Syracuse alumni to come on and talk about the team coming off of that loss to North Carolina and the state of the Syracuse Orange. So with that being said, Roosevelt Bouie Jr. is here with us. Rosie, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great, Dan. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. And Rosie, I got to ask you first and foremost, how's fishing life been?
Fishing's fantastic. I started for a lot of people don't know, I started a non-for-profit, the Bouie Foundation, and my goal is to teach underprivileged kids or anybody that wants to learn how to fish.
And when you have this, non-for-profit to teach people how to fish, what's your goal to, have this be a non-for-profit and not just, anybody could go out there and have like a training course in fishing and whatnot. What is the non-for-profit? What are you hoping to benefit in this case for the community?
Well, it kind of started during, I've been fishing for many, many years. It was a great way for me to reconnect with my nieces, nephews, great nieces and nephews. I would spend 11 months out of the year out of the country, and then when I came back to reconnect with them, I found out that I would take them out, and I took them out to catch their first fish. And it's not just fishing, because I could then find out we're out fishing, having a good time, showing them how to do things, and they would tell me about what's going on in their lives, and it would be very relaxing. And then fast forward to COVID, and everybody's inside. We're all locked down. All the kids are now they're on their laptops, on computers, on the iPads, and they're life changed a bit. And I found out that once I was freed from, I could go outside. It's instead of fishing once or twice a week, a couple of times, I was actually fishing four days a week. And I also noticed that I was all relaxed and calm, and then my friends were calling me to come out to go fishing, and they were telling me, listen, I needed this, I had to get back in touch with nature, to get outside and just do something wholesome. There's that old saying, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime.
Yeah, and it's entirely true, and I bring up that all the time. And so for you, for the non-for-profit, what are you hoping to do in that sense of it? Is it just to create like a free opportunity for people to come out and get with nature and learn? How do you see this growing?
I see it growing two parts. First of all, getting kids away from a lot of stuff that they do inside. What I found out is I started doing some things. I've been doing it for years, but just to I started doing giving little clinics with a guy, Crump, and he is a professional fisherman, and we've been going out and giving lessons, and we found out we've been over at Bass Pro Shop. We'll stop in there again and do some fishing. I'm thinking next month. But anyway, what happens is we take dads are coming out want to take their kids fishing. They don't know how to fish, so they bring them out there. We start working with the kids, and we notice that the dads want to come along too, or moms drop them off and like, hey, this is a lot of fun. We want to be outside here too with the kids. And it's just a wholesome way to get back outside and teach kids. For me, it was also very important as a professional. Basketball is particularly not the time consuming when you're playing as a professional, but it's extremely mind consuming. So everybody needs something that they do that can take them away and help them to relax. And that's something that I've done up until a few years ago with my friends from school, Guy Ruff and Art Monk. We would go out and host a charity golf. I host a charity golf event in the honor of my mom, and then for one day, and then we'd fish for the next 3 days. And we all swore that we're better fishermen than we ever were athletes. So it's just something to help us get away and relax.
That coming here from Roosevelt Bouie Jr., Syracuse Orange men's basketball alum and an avid fisherman. You and I have talked about it before. Jim Boeheim, 46 years as the head coach of Syracuse basketball, but also a fisherman himself. Have you linked up with him at all recently? And when was the last time that you guys fished? Because I know that he likes to think he's better than you, and I think you've made statements that I think you've done a little bit better than him. So who is the better fisherman? And in all honesty, and then what can you say about Jim Boeheim? Because you talked about how you and guys up at Syracuse history are better fishermen than you were athletes, and now looking at the fact that Jim himself likes to fish as well.
Well, Coach and I used to go out fishing at least once or twice a summer, up to like 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, when we called, and I have a little habit of whenever I catch a nice fish, I would call the basketball office and ask somebody there and I would send it over there and ask them to print it out, and then take it and slip it under his desk under the papers. So when he would come in and when he'd eventually find it, I'd get a note, where'd you catch, where'd you buy that one, or something, something funny. And so shortly after that, I got a call back, and he said, hey, Coach said he's free to go out. He's free on Thursday, or he's free on Tuesday. And I was like, okay, well, he's Coach Boeheim. He can just call anybody to go fishing.
Yeah.
And he said, no, he says he wants you to, so I went out with a friend of mine up in he lived in Mexico at the time. So we'd meet out there and we'd fish in Oneida Lake. And it went, we'd go out there and we'd fish normally from 8 till about noon. And this one particular time we went out there and we boated about 90 fish between 8 and 11:15. Okay.
Yeah.
coach was saying, I got to go to this book signing, and we're just catching fish, hand over fish, one after the other, 2.5, 3 pound bass. And so finally he goes. So we're like looking at him saying, well, he's got to go back and do this book signing. And then he goes, oh heck, they can't start without me. And we fished right up until 15 minutes before he had to be there. We get back to the boat launch, and he goes, I love my wife. She put everything here in the car. And he changed in the parking lot and whipped out and caught those fish. And up to now, that has been the best day that I've had. Totally, it was a beautiful, warm day. We caught a lot of fish. But since then, I was coming back from, I believe I was coming back from New York or Niagara Falls, I don't remember. And my phone rings, and I pick it up and I look, and it's a picture of my fishing guide, Coach Boeheim, and Buddy. And for those who know fishing boats, they hold 3 people. So all of a sudden, when Buddy started going fishing, I got put on the sidelines. He said, yeah, Buddy, like before he used to Buddy was working on his jump shot. So he said, Buddy called me and said he wanted to work on wanted to work out, and his workout partner didn't show up. He said, hey, when your son asks you to help him work out at 6 o'clock in the morning, he's serious, so you do it. And I was like, so he got there this particular time late. Little did I know that Buddy was a big fisherman too. He enjoys it, so he uses my fishing guide, and I found another buddy that I go out with on my own, and then just I guess it was that same year, I called the office and I sent him a note because Guy Crump, the guy that I'm working with now, he put me out, took me to another lake, and I caught a 6.2 pound female largemouth bass, which was the biggest that I'd caught up to that time. And I naturally sent it over there. Ladies, could you take this and print it off and slip it under the corners of papers on Coach Boeheim's desk? And so that was a few years ago. I guess since Buddy's been active up in school, we haven't gone. And then, there's COVID in the middle. So it's been a few years. But and you were talking about who's the best fisherman?
Yeah.
Seeming that I cannot tell a lie. And he always, we had this particular piece of picture that they made. It was the all-century team. There was a drawing done. We all had everybody sign it, all the guys on the caricature. And you're supposed to sign your name next to your picture. Coach Boeheim signed mine on the white frame around the picture to the second best fisherman. I almost took white out and erased it, but I didn't because out of respect. He's coach. He can say pretty much what he wants. But all of upstate New York knows who the best fisherman is, and he's over 6'5".
Okay.
It looks a lot like me.
Looks a lot like Rosie and is over Jim Boeheim's height. Yeah. I picked up what you put down. Yes, I appreciate that. And I don't put it past Jim Boeheim because people don't readily know that he does like to joke around. He does like to make people laugh. He is a human being, and I think a lot of people they think about him in the media and they don't see him as an individual. But I've gotten to know Buddy a lot over the last 5 years or so, and I've gotten to know Jimmy a little bit here, and being around them, knowing that this is a family, that's their dad, and so there's more to Jim Boeheim than meets the eye of what people may have seen in 46 years and a few sound bites here and there. So definitely appreciate the story and appreciate the fact that we have this nice background of yourself and of Jim Boeheim, and the fact that Jim does more than basketball, and that Jim kind of jumped to the thing there first and took the pen first and wrote for you. And I mean, obviously, if Jim had to write that, it's because he was nervous of people knowing that you were the best fisherman. So I can understand Jim trying to get there first, but just like the NCAA likes to white things out, maybe you should have whited it out, Rosie. But with that being said, to look at to look at the basketball team and to kind of go back to that. Jim is, I think, currently at 1,098 wins. He needs 2 more to get to 1,100, but he, needs to the NCAA. He's getting to 1,000. How do you view this? I know you and I have talked about it before, but there's been plenty of time to let it marinate. Can you erase history? Can you take away games that players played and coaches coached, in your opinion?
Absolutely not. Last time I checked, no Star Trek, no Star Wars. You can't go back in time and just take away something like that. The question that I always ask, they say you can take away wins, but there are still that number of teams that lost to Syracuse University. So,
yeah.
So just report it differently. You can't take them away. You went out there, they put on their uniforms, which is our present day suit of armor, and they battled. And there's a lot of teams that came up on the short end of that stick, and nothing that you say or do will change the fact. I don't care how you paint it or talk about it. Those teams still lost, and their wins that are in my mind. I never even considered the fact that they took those. They tried to take those games away because, come on, man, it's not even. It doesn't even make sense when you say it out loud.
Yeah, so according to the NCAA, he has 997. According to reality, he has 1,098. So they took away 101 games for 101 wins from. They didn't take the losses away, and that's something Dale Shackelford, your teammate, brought up. As he said, if the games don't count, then why did they keep the losses and take away the wins? If the games didn't happen, then the games didn't happen. So what's crazy on top of crazy is that they want Boeheim to keep the losses in the games that don't count, but they don't want him to keep the wins, which is very confusing to me.
Not confusing at all. Doesn't make any sense. When things don't make any sense, I have a tendency not to pay attention to them.
That coming from Roosevelt Bouie Jr. Rosie here with us, men's basketball alum from Syracuse University, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal studios. Rosie and I taking a look at the current state of Syracuse basketball. Rosie, the team is 15-15. They played a lot of close games. They played a bunch of overtime games, some in their favor, some not. They lose to North Carolina. Caleb Love hits a big-time deep three, and overtime ends up happening for Syracuse and North Carolina. North Carolina takes over in overtime. Just what your thoughts are on a 15-15 season. They're standing at the equator line. They've gone above and below the ACC's equator line of 500 numerous times this season. They've either been 500, been below, been above by a game or so. So, this is a season where they've been riding that average 500, but they've obviously put themselves in play in a lot of games outside of the Duke games. And I talked to Jim Boeheim about it last night after the game. He said outside of Duke, Duke simply outplays us. They're better than we are. He said everybody else, I feel like we were in the game. And so what's your take on a 15-15 season? Does the record adequately show where Syracuse is at?
Well, my take about the season is this. So when the season first started off and I saw the team was put together, I was like, you know what? This team is going to be fun to watch. It's going to be really interesting, and they're gonna give you a lot of excitement. But with a lot of shooters, you got a lot of guys that have to learn how to play together. But when they get things rolling, there's a possibility of seeing some really great basketball. But one thing for sure, it's going to be exciting because you have all of those factors. You got guys that aren't yet Jesse Edwards that was starting to come into his own, but still, I said, it's going to be an exciting season because, I know that it's a little different for me. I know the players, I know the coaches, so it's kind of like a family affair. So I go out there, every game I watch, I want them to do better. I want them to play better. So for me, it's always exciting. I don't see the glass being half empty. I see it as being darn near full. All the positive things that I see these players make. So I started looking as a player to keep building on them, playing better and doing better. psychologist. I don't really care about that. I look at the team as being something that I followed for my life ever since I played there, and I just enjoy them doing well, and I enjoy them being able to play well and put their best foot forward, regardless of what the situation is. So for me, I would enjoy them winning all the games, but I enjoy them going out there and playing and learning how to be better, and that's what they've done this year. They've gone through some tough adversity because we lost to a team. I believe it was Colgate.
Yeah.
We lost to Colgate, which hadn't happened in the history of the world, and then everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, this is terrible." And then, but yet still, people have to forget. Eventually, these teams are going to get better. I called it at one point. I knew that Lemoyne had the opportunity. They were getting better quality players. And if there's anybody that wasn't afraid of Syracuse or the Carrier Dome, it would be the coaches were always at Jim Boeheim basketball camp. He was very comfortable. He understood how Syracuse played, and he understood the weaknesses that they had. So eventually it was going to happen. If you're living in a bubble, or if you don't have videotape, you can't follow and you can't figure these things out. But listen, Syracuse, the Syracuse players now have gone there. They played some great games, some phenomenal shooting. Players that have gone out just had phenomenal shooting in single games and during the season. It's just putting it all together. It's to get five guys at a time to play together. I take my hat off to any coach that can have a successful program for so many years. And hey, like I said, I don't look at being above 500 or below 500. I look at the effort that the guys are putting out there, and when the season finishes, you go out there and you try to find other guys that can fill those gaps.
Yeah, and you said you have a unique situation because you get to know the players and whatnot. A very, very unique situation, Rosie. You being, there with Jim Boeheim in the beginning of Jim Boeheim's head coaching career, and you being there with him as a player, and then growing up, going and playing overseas, having a lot of success, connecting, obviously with Italy for numerous years, and coaching yourself. You got to not only see the evolution of Jim Boeheim, but the evolution of his children. And so you saw Jimmy as a kid and Buddy as a kid. So how surreal and strange is it for you to not only be around Jim and see him evolve in, the past 4+ decades, but the fact that his children are now grown and playing for him? How strange is that for you to see with someone who's been around the program so much?
Well, it started at the time when Coach Boeheim got married to Julie. I was still spending probably 6-7 months of the year in Europe. So I come back for his wedding. Lewis is there, and I met Julie, and I met her mom at the time. I met her mom, and it was very interesting. She asked me a question. She said, after everything was all the introductions, everything, we were just walking around there. Julie's mom came up to me and she said, "So what do you think about my daughter marrying your coach?" And I thought about it for a second, and I looked at her and I said, "Well, let me tell you something." I said, "I've known Coach Boeheim for many years at that particular time," and I said, and I looked right at her and I said, "I've seen him smiling more today than I've seen him smiling in the entire time that I've known her." And she said, "Good answer." And so fast forward to there was a point of time. So I was helping players. I would set up tournaments in Europe. I'd set them up, and I'd come back here and I'd hold tryouts, and then I would take the kids over to play in tournaments in Europe so they'd have the opportunity of having a chance at the type of career that I did. So it was a period when the boys were, rebounding, running around on the court, and they're little tiny tykes, and they're just little kids. And then during the next 5 years, I was spending my summers in Italy, in Europe, in Italy or in Amsterdam, doing these tournaments. coming back for the Jim Boeheim golf tournament, and they were having the dinner the day before, and I was walking over from Turning Stone. I was almost there, and I'm walking down the sidewalk, and I see two people I recognize, which was Coach Boeheim and Julie, and then I saw these other three kids with them, and they were all taller than them. And I was in shock because I was like, oh my God! It's like I looked closer, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're the three kids, and they're all over 6 feet. So I don't know what happened. They fed them, plant food or something, and they grew up, and they're bursting at the seams, and at the time they were all over 6'1" at the time, 6'2", 6'3", like that. I was like, so I was trying to figure out where the little babies went. And then fast forward again, I was at the Jim Boeheim fantasy camp, and I would come up there and we'd spend 3 or 4 days with guys that want to go through the torture that players go through, like their preseason training. So I was there, and I was sitting there, and the team was finishing a workout before fantasy camp started. So we're sitting on the sidelines, and I remember watching the Tyus Battle was playing. Tyus Battle was on the team, and so Tyus would come down, and they're scrimmaging, and he'd hit a phenomenal shot. Then they'd go back the other way, and this other kid would hit a shot. And then Tyus would come down, he's hit a shot. Then this other kid would come out and hit a shot. And I'm like, well, he's pretty good. And I was walking out and so I just got there, and I was walking over to say hello to Coach. And I walked over, Coach goes, hey, he goes, buddy, this is Roosevelt. This is Rosie, and I was like, that's Buddy? That kid that was knocking down all those shots. I said, I know who everybody else is, but I don't know who he was. Coach, I go out there and introduced me to him. Like, wow. So that was the first time that I had seen him as a player. I mean, the last thing that I had heard about Buddy was that that's why Coach Boeheim was late. When you go fishing, there's one thing you're never late for. You're never late for fishing. If you're late for fishing, whoever you're going out with will try to leave you on the dock. So this particular time, Coach was late, and he got there, and he's like, it's an unspoken rule. He gets there, and he goes, hey, when your son asks you at 6 o'clock to go work out with him, and that's what you do. So from that point, this is the first time that I'd actually seen Buddy in the role of athlete, and I was like, holy smokes, can this kid play? And then moving forward, I had the opportunity to go to, thanks to, I mentioned it to Julie when they were going over to Italy, and lo and behold, I was invited to go with the team over to Italy when they traveled, and I got to see, spend time with the team and see the kids over there, and I actually remember seeing Jimmy there, and I watched as big as he is, I remember going to him. He didn't play, but he was there. He'd go down and he'd warm up with the guys, and I said, Jimmy, it's really nice to see a big guy that can handle the ball, puts the ball on the floor. And lo and behold, now we have Jimmy on the team. He's doing the same thing here. So it's just, things have gone full circle, and it reminds me that I've been around them for a long time. So regardless to, they're going out there, you can't make a team win. You can only put them out on the floor and play as hard as you can, and at a certain point, you're going to need a little luck. And you change, you go back, and I had one situation like that. I played 13 years in Europe, and I actually lived there 16 years. But in those 13 years, we had 1 year, we had a pretty good team. It wasn't, the league was very balanced at that particular time. So there's 16 teams in the first division, and we lost. So you have a 32-game season. We ended up losing 13 games this particular year, and in 9 of those 13 games, we were winning with inside of a minute. So we lost in all 13 of those games. We were winning. We were ahead in the last minute, and in 9 of them, we were winning, and the other team had to hit the last shot to beat us. And so it happened 13 times. And the only thing that you can do is what you do day in and day out. You come to practice the next day, you get there early, and you work on the things that you had a problem with. And you have to program yourself to play hard, stay focused, and work on things that you know you need to get better at. And that is your sole purpose, because you can't be distracted or think about anything else, or it's over. So it's a great way to teach young men how to get through adverse conditions. You come out, you work hard, you stay focused, you get close with your teammates, and that's how you come out the other side of this. So it's a great lesson in life also.
Yeah, and I love the fact, and thank you for telling that story as only you could, Rosie, to paint such a picture of the Boeheim family and just what it was like to see the evolution of this family. And like you said, to see them, they're little kids, they're running around in their, tiny sneakers, and then all of a sudden they're all above 6 foot. And then you talk about, hey, Jimmy can do this, that, and, he's for a big man, he can dribble, he can do. And, now we see him playing on the team. This has been a very unique world that we've lived in. Rosie, you having known Jim and been a part of Jim's history from the beginning, I have to ask you this because it's the question that I get all the time. It's the question that I hear about all the time. It's always around, be it family members or friends or listeners or viewers, supporters, whatever, Mountain Public. Everybody wants to know, after 46 years, when is Jim Boeheim going to retire? Two-part question for you. Number one, how sick are you from hearing that question? And number two, have you ever had anybody else in the history of the world been asked how many times they were going to leave their job?
Well, first of all, it's kind of funny because for I guess it was like 5 or 6 years ago, I worked for 5 years for Time Warner. We used to do a show, Orange. It was called Orange Squeeze or Orange Overtime, and we'd talk about the game after it was over. And I remember distinctly this one year in particular. A lot of the guys at Time Warner, they were saying, Syracuse was, they had a real tough year. They were, it was when they called them I think it was cardiac use, and it was coming down to time for to go to the NCAA tournament, and everybody's looking at me. They're like, they're gonna have a tough time getting in the tournament. I don't want to mistake my facts, but I remember talking to them, and they're like, do you think they're going? I was like, absolutely. And I said my reasons. And then and I said to them, I said, this is the deal. This team is very talented. You've got 4 guys that can shoot the ball really well. You've got a good presence in the post. And I said, and this whole year, I remember looking at, they didn't score a lot of points. Defense was good, didn't score a lot of points, and throughout the year, or at least for the last month and a half of the year, none of the players shot the ball well together, and they're all a good shooting team. And I remember saying, I said, listen, this is what I noticed. It's just as hard to have 4 shooters or four good scorers not shoot the ball well as it is to have four scorers shoot the ball greatly. It's just as improbable. And I said, this is what I think. I said, all Syracuse has to do is get their foot in the door. And I said, and you watch and see, and up to this point, they've been winning games, last second shots. I said, and you watch and see, they get their foot in the door, nothing else counts. You got your foot in the door. And I said, and guess what? At some point, I said, if 1 or 2 guys are shooting well, they will be tough. But I said, you mess around and get 3 guys playing well, or 2 or 3 guys shooting, and they'll win by 20 points. In that particular year, everybody laughed in my face. Yeah. The first game of the tournament, we went there, and those guys came out, and they shot the ball well, and they blew that team out by darn near 20 points. And everybody just kept looking at me, how did you know? And I was like, I didn't know about this team, but I know basketball. It's the law of averages dictates in warm-ups. When I was shooting during warm-ups, I had a career percentage of shooting of 64% from the field. And so I didn't like to miss, and I like to take shots that I knew I could make. So I would take those shots during warm-ups by myself or like I normally would, and I'd miss 6, 7 out of 8 shots in warm-ups. And that's part of warm-ups when I'm going through my movements on the post. And I would go over to my point guard, and I'd say to him, "Give me the ball." He's like, "What?" He said, "Why?" And I said, "I just missed 7 out of 8 shots from my spots. And the law of averages dictates I'm going to shoot 60+% from the field. So we start right now. Give me the ball. I'm gonna fill it up." And sure enough, I get the ball and I go 7 for 7, 8 for 8. You know, because if you put in the work, you do the training, you know what to expect. And that's the beauty of basketball. Is not only a game, it teaches you life lessons. And those are lessons you can learn. Believe in yourself. Keep practicing the way you will play in a game, the way you practice. Then if the other team is better than you are, guess what? If you stick to your game plan and your 5 players give everything they've got, anybody can beat anybody. And we saw it last night. They're 1 play away from winning.
Yeah.
In regulation time.
Yeah.
You know, and I couldn't see. You know, they have all this instant replay. I want to know what the heck the call was on the baseline when Syracuse had the ball out of bounds. And then next thing I know, North Carolina's coming down and knocking down a long 3. So that's 1 play. That one play right there. And I'm like, it's nothing to be beaten. I mean, you want to win those games, but as a player, you have to, once that game is over, good, bad, or indifferent, by the time you get back in your bed that night, that's the last you think about it. The next day, there's not time to think about it anymore. There's time only to work, to get better, get ready for the next game.
Yeah, you know, and that's reality. So, you know, for you, Rosie, and you talked about, you know, obviously the fact that this team, I remember, you know, distinctly how in 2016 I was laughed at. I had picked Syracuse to finish first in the ACC. I had North Carolina, and I flipped it to Syracuse in my final seconds in my preseason polling. And I found out that there was kind of like a buzz, right? Because this is all anonymous, and, you know, you're not supposed, I mean, the ACC doesn't give out who votes what and this, that, and the other. And so I guess somebody had asked Jim Boeheim, and he didn't know who voted Syracuse to be first. He's like, "Oh, you know, you should check them, and, you know, what are they thinking?" Because he didn't think that they would. And then, you know, I remember Trevor Cooney was playing that year, Mike Benajay, Malachi Richardson, Tyler Lydon, and so I voted them to be first, and I stuck by it. Well, I don't hide my predictions, so I put my prediction on my website, and then the paper picked it up, and the paper sent me a private message and said, "Hey, we'd like to ask a few questions from you, as, you know, you're the mystery man who revealed yourself." And I was like, "I'm not a mystery person. It's been on my website for 10 days. My website's free. You can go and look at it." I didn't hide it from anybody. If it was hidden, it wouldn't be on my site. And I shared the link. And so, you know, basically what I realized is the paper was going to write, as you know this, Rosie, the paper was going to write a story about me, whether or not I was a part of it. And so I wanted to tackle it the best way I could. So he asked me a couple questions. I answered the questions, and I knew that they were going to misquote me, and I knew that they were going to probably either misquote me or keep out the bulk of what I said. So I wrote a story called, you know, "This is what I actually said," or something of that respect. And I put out all the reasons why I thought the team would make it, you know, far, and why I saw them being successful. When the story came out, they said "Mystery Man reveals himself." So the title was, again, to make people click on it. I wasn't a mystery. They only took 2 of my quotes, and it made me look like I wasn't intelligent. It made me look like I was only basing my pick of them to finish at the top with North Carolina on a couple things when I had like 7 or 8 reasons. So my story, I kept putting out saying, "This is what I actually said." They took a portion of it. Well, as the season goes on, Syracuse is winning and winning and winning. And my dad looked at me and he goes, wow, he goes, you know what? He goes, what are they all going to write about when you're right? And then my mom's like, hey, what are they going to do when you're right? And then they not only make it in the tournament, they make it to the Final Four with who? North Carolina. And so the two teams I had at the top of the ACC are playing in the Final Four. I'm in Houston, and my dad goes, why isn't anybody calling you to, do a follow-up from the paper saying, oh my gosh, 700 people in the media were wrong, you were right. And so I put a story out. I retagged my story, and I said, in case you forgot what I said. And so I just thought it was funny, kind of going off of like what you said, that, when I believe in this team and as an impartial broadcaster, I saw, a lot of different things with the guys that they were bringing back and the experience that they had and the newcomers that they had and the new talent, the young talent, the experienced talent, and the different pieces of what I saw from Mike Vinajay and Trevor Cooney and so on and so forth. When I gave all my reasoning for it and it ended up coming true, the whole world was stunned, but I wasn't. And I just think it's funny going off of what you said, that you were in the exact same position where the whole world was wondering how could this possibly happen, and you were just sitting there smiling going, I'm not going to tell you I told you, but I did. So
it was so funny. They all came back to me. They're like, "How did you know?" And I said, "Listen, when they asked me, I said, this is the deal." I said, every time Michael Benajay, I'm sorry, every time Trevor Cooney takes a shot, they're saying, he's 5 for 27 in his last shooting. And I said, he says, how can it go any place? Trevor Cooney's not shooting the ball well. And I said to them, I said, okay, so we were watching video. I said, I want you to watch. I showed them 3 plays. I said, watch these 3 plays. And in those 3 plays, I said, watch Trevor Cooney, and then watch the other defensive guys on the floor. I said, Trevor Cooney has it, as you said, he's only scored 5 shots out of his last 27. I said, when the game starts, Trevor Cooney, as soon as he touches the ball, he has one guy playing him, there's a double team, and the third guy's watching to see if he needs to come over and help out. And I said, as a player, Trevor Cooney has done his job. He's got half the world following him around, afraid he's going to shoot a jump shot. Whether he makes it or not, it's not up to him at this point. Basketball is a team sport. If you're not watching me, you're watching somebody else. Then it's the job of my teammate to get open and score. And that's exactly what happened. I said, and don't get it twisted. Eventually, he's going to start knocking those shots down, and then they're going to get beat by 20. They laughed at me, and I just walked in. The studio, and I was just like, "Is that crickets I hear?"
Yeah. And the funny thing, I felt the same way. As it became a running joke between my family and my friends of like, every game they won, they're like, holy, what are they going to do when you're right? And then my mom and my dad were kind of like, holy crap, you were right. Like, it's going to happen. And I told my dad the whole way through, including when I was in Chicago, and I felt awful in Chicago. A sinus infection. I was drinking Mucinex, sleeping in bed before the game. And I go to the 2 games, Gonzaga, who I respect and I love, and Virginia, who I have a ton of respect for, Tony Bennett. And so in that Virginia game, when they were down by 16, I remember looking down thinking like, oh man, I told my dad, because I wanted my dad to go to Chicago and he couldn't. And I said, well, if they go to the Final Four, you're coming, Dad. Like, I don't care what you say. Like, forget about work. You're coming. So I was kind of bummed. And I remember I looked down at the table. I looked at my computer and I went, it ain't over till it's over. Like, the fat lady didn't sing yet. They were down by 16. From there, they took the game. They win that game against Virginia. Huge swing. I'll never forget, because that was the year that I made the prediction. My dad called me up. My dad doesn't really cry. My dad's name is Ralph. So my dad calls me up. He's crying and he's screaming at the top of his lungs, oh my God, they're going to the Final Four. They're going to the Final Four. And I'll never forget that moment. So, it's so sweet. But, Rosie, I think what it comes down to is anybody can look at a team and pretend to be an analyst and pretend to know. Did I play Division I men's basketball. No, I played basketball my whole life. I played organized since I was 7. I got recruited D3. I still love going out there and shooting. I know the game. You know the game. And regardless of division or this, that, and the other, we study the game. We love the game. We're fans of the game. I was having conversations with people last night, and there were people attacking me that I said, oh, man, I wish Cole Swider would come back another year. And they're telling me, how people in the media don't know anything about anything, and they're going to school us and they're going to teach us because Cole had 36, but the game before he had 2. And that's playing to your law of averages right now, Rosie, and really plays into exactly what you've been saying about Trevor and about everybody, that, people want to knock Cole Swider. It's not that he's not talented. He's just got to become more consistent. But, this is a guy who knows how to knock down shots, and eventually it was going to break for him. And, stupidity is contagious. So I guess, when I start seeing things about, Cole Swider, screw you, you scored 36, we hate you, why'd you wait this long? I just think it's illogical, irrational conversation for the reality that without Cole Swider, they would have gotten blown out in that game. And without him this season, they maybe wouldn't have won a game. So I just think, people really need to analyze it and get a little bit deeper, or take a back seat and know that most of you are fans and few of us are analysts, so let us do our analyzing.
Yeah, it's first of all, when I say Syracuse has some of the greatest fans anywhere, and that's coming from a guy that I played in Division I. I played at Syracuse, and then I went to Europe and I played with guys that played at other schools, and they talked about, we came to Syracuse, and I would talk to them about Coach Boeheim, if guys, anybody that had graduated that wanted to come back and get their and finish their degree, if they hadn't finished their degree, they'd come back and they'd be doing little menial jobs just so that they could get their degree. He always looked after guys when it came to him, and they would go like, "What? He seems like he doesn't care. He doesn't." And I said, "No, he's very loyal that way." And but when you talk about, first of all, they should be thanking him, because I was there for Coach Boeheim's first win, his first loss, and his first 100 wins.
Yeah.
So I've become a fan of the program because I learned how to play basketball playing at Syracuse University. And then I took what I learned. The only thing I knew about basketball when I came to Syracuse was I'm 7 feet tall. I'm going to work harder than the guy next to me, so I should be a better player. That's all I knew. I'm going to work harder than whoever's next to me. Eventually, I'll figure it out. He'll run out of gas either the first half, second half. When he does, I'm still going to be going 100 miles an hour. That's all I knew about basketball. And Coach Boeheim came to the locker room. I was there. It was before the season started, and I was feeling a little complicated there. It was doing schoolwork and whatnot, and then just coming into a situation where I didn't know Syracuse basketball was such a big deal. I was looking for a school to go to get a college education, and then it all started, getting a little heavy for me. And the coach asked me, what's wrong? And I was like, I felt like I had an 800-pound gorilla sitting on my shoulders. The season's about to start. Actually, it was a couple weeks before the season started, and coach said, "Listen," he said, If you come to practice and you work so hard," he used to run it so hard that we'd sit in the locker room in front of my locker, and I'd look down at my feet, and I had to wait like 10 minutes before I could bend over and reach him. I was so tired. And he said, if you work so hard that it takes you 15 minutes before you can take your shoes off, he said, I can teach you how to play basketball. He said, I can't teach you how to play hard.
Yeah.
And I said, so if that's all I need to do is learn how to play hard, I'm great at playing hard. So that's all I did. He said, if you play as hard as you can, I'll teach you how to play basketball. And I was like, I walked out of that little conversation we had with the utmost confidence that I know I can do that. and I proceeded to do it. And then all the things that I learned while I was playing at Syracuse, Brendan Malone told me. He at one particular time we were playing against a really tough team and we won. It was early. This is my junior year, and Coach Malone said to me, he looked at me and he said, Roosevelt, there's only one player that I know that can stop you 100% of the time, every time. Yeah. And I said, who's that? And he said,
you.
Roosevelt Bouie.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's deep. He said, as long as you go out there and you play as hard as you can, nobody's going to stop you. And I was getting all this great advice, and then fast forwards, I'm out of Syracuse. I'm doing the same stuff that I was taught. Coach Fine had us come out there, and he said, listen, no matter how big you are, because at the time Lewis was 6'9", 168 pounds, and I was 7 feet, 190 pounds. And Coach Fine said to us, he said, listen, no matter how big you are, if you stand there and you wait for a guy to hit you, then it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
But if you initiate contact, it doesn't hurt as bad. You're on the floor. You're always ready. Somebody's coming close to you. Instead of waiting for them to hit you, you step forward and you hit them. Hey, it's not as bad, and then they know that you're on the floor. So, Mike, the comment that I was getting was, they're like, how much you weigh? Like 230, 240? I was like, no, I'm like, at the time I was like 210, 215. Because it felt like once you played against me, you felt like because I always initiate contact. And these are things that I learned in playing the game of basketball. If you always initiate contact, and I took it to the next level. So if the man I was playing against was not upset with me within 15 seconds after the game started, I felt I wasn't doing my job, because I was going to either, if we won a tip, I was going to run down the floor as fast as I could, and I was going to try to push him as hard as I could underneath the basket so I could get it. So far that I would have to take 2 steps out to take a layup. That's how far into the basket I want to push him. And then on defense, if he was running up the court, when he got up the court, as soon as he got within the 3-point line, I would step up and I would chuck him. I'd hit him with my forearm and stop his forward progress. I would initiate the contact. Nobody's expecting it from that point on the floor. So at that point, my man is upset with me. And at that point, I don't really care, because since he's not wearing an orange uniform, you got to talk to his coach about it, talk to his teammates about it, because he's got to, what's the old saying was, give him a quarter so he calls somebody that cares. So those are things that I learned playing at Syracuse, and that carried through for the rest of my playing career, and that carry on also in life today.
Yeah, and that's, seeing everything that we've seen up to this point, and seeing everything that the Jim Boeheim has done, and seeing everything that you did while you were there, and how much care you have for that. Going back to that, Rosie, I mean, when you hear about every single year now, when's he going to leave? 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 Do you even hear it anymore? I mean, does it even hit your ears when somebody wants to talk? They don't want to talk about 1,098 wins. They don't want to talk about a 72.1% winning percentage. They don't want to talk about the fact that, he's brought the team to numerous Final Fours in multiple decades, and that he did this all with one team. Remember, Coach K did it with multiple teams, and Roy Williams did it with multiple teams. So, with all the things that Jim has done well, and with all the things that Jim has done right, and with all of the teams that Jim has brought to special places, does it even touch your ears anymore when people are like, hey, Rosie, when's he gone? When's he gone? Because you got an inside track. Rosie, come on, tell us. When's he gone? When's he gone? Do you even hear it anymore?
Listen, I've always been my entire life. I'm a firm believer, and I have no time for nonsense. Okay. So the other thing that I come back with, I say, instead of asking that question, first of all, you should be thanking him, because he's the man that spoiled you into thinking that every team you put on the floor could beat everybody. By his coaching, his recruiting, and his coaching, he put you in a situation to see phenomenal basketball played, and right here at home. And then so now that he's made you into a connoisseur, so to speak, now you want to say, listen, he's got to be out of here. I don't have time for nonsense. And to me, that's just the utmost nonsense.
Yeah, and as we're talking this morning, there's more people ripping on Cole Swider, and it's, I think the reality is that, no matter what you do right, there'll always be somebody to say something. So, Rosie, what would be your advice? You played so many years, coached so many years. Final point here. What's your advice to Cole Swider, to Jim Boeheim, to anybody out there that no matter what they do right, somebody always wants to point to what they did wrong, or that we live in a world where people literally spend their days piecing and pulling apart every single word, every sentence, every paragraph to twist and turn and move and mold. How would you tell someone to deal with that? And Jim, above so many, has dealt with people spinning his words all over the place. So what would be your advice in a world where people can take "Hi, how are you?" and somehow pull that apart into something negative?
Well, first of all, my compliments to Cole Swider, because Cole has against all odds, he's come out there. Imagine playing a game and scoring just one or two baskets to putting together the best output. He was 1 point shy of the most points ever scored in that arena in North Carolina. So the one thing that I always think back, my mother said to me when we were growing up, she said, listen, everybody's not going to like you, but it doesn't matter because I love you. So at that point, I realized, I understood what she was saying. She said, there are people that are not gonna like you, but it doesn't matter, because if they're not people that are close to you, if they're not people that are in your life, if they're not people that care about you, it's just noise. They're just people. It's like throwing, it's like throwing mud on the wall, hoping something sticks. And first of all, like I said before, Syracuse has some of the best fans in the world, and there are Syracuse fans, and then there are these people that say that they're Syracuse fans, but they're really critics.
Yeah.
Because Syracuse fans see the Syracuse team, they want them to do well. If they don't do well, they feel sorry for them, and they're behind them again the next game. Those are the true Syracuse fans that I grew to love. Now everybody thinks that everybody wants to be a critic. Please understand that when you're a critic, you disqualify yourself from being a Syracuse fan. You're just another guy throwing stones where you shouldn't. And understand that when that happens, you're either on the inside, because when those things kind of happen, the team kind of pulls themselves together and they stay close to one another, and their fans and their friends and their close friends. You're either on the inside looking out with the team and hoping for the best, or you're on the outside looking in and just trying to throw sticks at them to get a rise, because you really don't matter.
And may he without sin cast the first stone, I think is what they always say. So, for that being said, Roosevelt Bouie Jr., one of the greatest Syracuse players in the history of Syracuse basketball, and the best fisherman in the state of New York. I think we're saying here, Jim would say number 2, but I don't know. I'm going to have to watch you guys fish one day. I'm going to have to jump on the boat myself. So with that being said, Roosevelt Bouie Jr., Syracuse Orange men's basketball, one of the greatest quotes in my life, what your mother said to you, "Who cares if they don't like you, because I love you." Awesome quote from your mom. What's your mom's first name?
Liddy, Liddie.
So, Liddy, God bless, and sending our love up to you. Rosie, as always, I appreciate it. And you know that during tournament week, I've been doing this thing for years. When it's tournament week, I have Syracuse Orange alumni on the entire week. Regardless of whether Syracuse wins or loses, I always feature the alumni. So I would love to have you back next week as we jump into tournament time, and to get you back on to talk about the big men and everything else. And so if you'd like to come back, as always, I'd love to have you back.
It'll be my pleasure, Dan. Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you, Rosie, for everything, and I appreciate it. Love what you said. If you're a critic, you disqualify yourself as a fan. So thank you, Rosie, for all that you've had to say, and thank you for all your kind words and everything you've done throughout the years. You've been a friend to me, and I am just completely blown away by the fact that one of the greatest players in Syracuse history, I can call you a friend, and that you've been so humble, and we've gotten to sit down and spend a lot of time talking. So thank you for being a friend. Thank you for supporting the Orange, and thank you for all that you've done for our community, and thank you for what you're doing for people now with, teaching them how to fish, getting kids outside, and just everything that you do to help. I just want to make sure that you know that you're appreciated.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure. You take care. Talk to you soon.
All right, talk to you soon. That coming from Roosevelt Bouie Jr. here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Man, haters gonna hate, man, but who cares? They don't matter. They just want to be heard. And that's what I've realized with haters. They're just people that want to be heard, that feel like nobody's listening. But the reality of it all is, if all you spread is hate, eventually nobody will be listening. So you want to be heard, but we don't really want to hear from you. So you could speak. Doesn't mean anybody's going to hear it. And I think that the reality of it all is, I want to thank Cole Swider for the work that he put forward. I think that he's been great. And even though he has not been consistent, what he's given to this team has been, it put him in a position to win any games. So, without Cole, where would they be? Without Buddy, where would they be? Without Jimmy, where would they be? People want to criticize all these players and you want to love them the next day. Cole scored 36 points. Nobody should be criticizing him this morning. The man played out of his mind, had a career day, scored almost 40 in Chapel Hill. So, common sense would tell you that he wasn't the problem. And, we move forward. Can everybody get better? Yeah, everybody can. So, that's just reality. And as we work toward a new day, I want to thank Cole for yesterday, because he made that game exciting. He kept Syracuse in it. And I don't care what North Carolina's record is. When you play North Carolina close and you have a game like that, it makes it truly special. So shout out to Cole Swider and to the whole team for the effort they put forward and for everything they did. I know they're 15-15, but they're fighting, they're trying. And as I've always said, I'd welcome any of the thousands of people in the stands to get on the court and try to do better. So, that's just reality. These guys aren't trying to lose. And I'm sick and tired of people. How are you going to wake up this morning and be negative to Cole Swider? It makes you look stupid. It genuinely makes you look stupid. So, I guess if you're okay with that, be okay with that. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal Studios. When we spin back around, we'll have plenty coming up for you, including my one-on-one conversation live with Terrence Roberts from the West Coast, as another big man in Syracuse history joins the show to talk about the state of Syracuse basketball right after this. Avicolli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicolli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicolli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan. WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/WakeUpCallDT. Proud to be with you inside the Cafe Kubal studios as we get set to have Terrence Roberts on the broadcast. Definitely looking forward to it, having him here on the show, and Roosevelt Bouie Jr. having been here. I do want to give a shout-out to Cafe Kubal while we have a second here, and a big shout-out to all that they do in our community. Listen, a cup of coffee goes a long way, and it means a lot to a lot of people. You know, sometimes it's the thing that starts our day. Sometimes, you know, it's the thing that keeps us rocking and rolling during the day. You know, sometimes it's our treat for ourselves, you know. So there's a lot to be said about, you know, a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, a cup of chai, you know, to go out and get chocolate chip banana bread at Cafe Kubal. Maybe that's what you do with your grandma. You know, maybe you and your mom meet there for lunch. Maybe, you know, you and your best friend always go out to Cafe Kubal every Wednesday to grab a cup of coffee. So, you know, it's not just coffee, it's memories, it's community. And so make sure you head out to Cafe Kubal today at any one of their locations, 3501 James Street, as well as 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse, New York, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse, as well as on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at their Sweetheart Corner drive-thru location in North Syracuse, and at 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. I thank you all so much for what you've done to support our local community. And, you know, we've needed it now more than ever to help out one another in this beautiful local community and beyond. I want to thank all my partners here in Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, as well as PB&J's Lunchbox, Honda City of Liverpool, Avicolli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, the Millhouse Market, K9 Campground Dog Boarding, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Pizza Man, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Mother's Cupboard, and of course our multimedia marketing partnerships with Lemoyne, Marywood, and Bryant and Stratton and Syracuse, each of those colleges and universities making Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media the proud exclusive multimedia marketing partner, giving you content you won't find anywhere else from the Lemoyne Dolphins, the Marywood Pacers, and the Bryant and Stratton Bobcats of Syracuse. So thank you to each and every single one of you for all that you do in our community and beyond. You know, looking back at Syracuse's game, and I had the opportunity to speak with Jim Boeheim after the game. I also had the opportunity to speak with Cole Swider, and I'll be airing those later on this week, probably around Thursday. I'll be airing those video conference calls with the opportunity to speak with Jim Boeheim and Cole Swider. You know, I mean, yeah, it's been a tough season. It's been a really tough season. And I think that, you know, fans in Syracuse are spoiled. Listen, this is my hometown, okay? I grew up here. And when I think they're going to lose, I say they're going to lose. When I think they're going to win, I say they're going to win. You know, and that's just reality. I don't think they're going to necessarily win every game. I don't think they're necessarily going to lose every game. When I've been right about bold predictions, when I was the only person in America of ACC media to pick them to be high and they went to the Final Four, I got no credit. In the years where I might have picked them to be high and they didn't win, you get all the hate, right? So you don't get enough credit when you're right, and you get more blame than you deserve when you're wrong or when somebody twists your words around. That's just how it is. I didn't know a broadcaster would be treated like a coach or a player, but you know, sometimes we feel like the quarterback of the team or the head coach in the way that we get treated. Some people just want to be negative, you know, and I think you look back at this season and, yeah, okay, losing to Colgate, you know, that's something that doesn't happen. And Syracuse lost that game, and that was a tough game to stomach, right? And then you look at how they played in Atlantis, where they lost 2 of 3. And they lost to a ranked Auburn team. They lost to a VCU team. They defeated Arizona State. Then against Indiana, that was one of the great games of the Dome. They won in double overtime. Do people remember that and care about that? They beat Florida State at Florida State, breaking Florida State's, I think, 25-game straight home win streak in the conference. I think it was 20 or 25 games straight that they had won at home in the conference in the ACC, and Syracuse broke that. Then they lose in the Jimmy V. Clay. They haven't, listen, the Madison Square Garden used to be a home away from home for Syracuse. It's not anymore. It's not. You know, I mean, ever since Syracuse left the Big East, it's been really unkind playing anybody in the Garden. It doesn't matter when. Syracuse has struggled. And, you know, they lost by 14 to Villanova when they played on December 7th. Then they lost to Georgetown, and Georgetown's had a bad year. They canceled their game against Lehigh. They added Brown. They defeated Brown. And then we look at, you know, some of these other games. We look at, you know, the game against Virginia at home. And Syracuse has done this against Virginia at home in the past as well. As, you know, we see Virginia 74-69, Syracuse loses the game. You know, they've played in games in the Dome against Virginia, but they just haven't closed it out. They lose that one by 5. They lose to Miami on the road by 1. They lose to Wake Forest on the road by 3 in overtime. You know, you look at those 3 games right there, and arguably those could have been wins for Syracuse. It's got them at 18 wins. It's got Jim over 1,100 victories, right? And then we look at Pittsburgh. They defeat them, and then they lose to Florida State again when they play them at home. That's a 5-point game. And then, you know, you play Pittsburgh again, you lose by 11. That was an uncharacteristic game, but it's hard to play at the Pete. Doesn't matter what the record is for them. Speaking of Pittsburgh. And then, you know, you look at the Notre Dame game where they played themselves to within 3 and then didn't close it out. I mean, I spoke to Jim Boeheim last night, and I mentioned it when he said, we can play with everybody except, he said, Duke is better than we are. Like, Duke outmatched us. You know, they're better. I'm paraphrasing, but, you know, he said Duke was obviously a better team, but everybody else, he doesn't hold anybody else above them in that respect. And, you know, this team playing down to the wire, okay, people wanna yell at Buddy Boeheim saying that he doesn't deserve to play because he's the coach's son. Yet when Buddy scores 30 points, everybody loves Buddy Boeheim. And then we talk about Jimmy Boeheim, and he doesn't deserve to play here. He's an Ivy League kid. And then Jimmy goes out there and has those games where that baby hook is working and everything's going good. Then you have games, then you have people saying Barama Sidibe is a terrible center. And then Barama goes through all these injuries, and then he finally gets to play, and now people love Barama Sidibe. Then you have a situation with Jesse Edwards where nobody says anything about him really last year except for here and there, and there's fights about is he good, is he not good, and then he goes out and people go, the season's over. Cole Swider, people say, well, obviously he can't shoot, so why is he coming onto this team? Then he goes out there and has big-time shooting nights, and then people are like, oh, wow, look at Cole Swider. And some people love him this morning, and some people are saying, it's why would you bite the hand that feeds you? Why would you bite the hand that feeds you? You look at this. Why would you bite the hand that feeds you? Cole Swider scores 36 and you crap on him? If he scored 8 and they lost by 100 against North Carolina, then what would be your comment then? Listen, there's fans and there's fanatics. That's what I say. There's fans and there's fanatics. Fanatics love to fight. Fanatics love to fight about everything, right? They just want to fight. Anybody waking up this morning, and listen, I put out a thing and I said, without Cole Swider in the first half, Syracuse would have been outscored 41-15. Because if you take out his 21 points, it goes from 36 to 15. And now people are pulling that apart. Oh, Dan, nobody else would have scored. Oh, but what about, maybe they would have, maybe they wouldn't have. Has Syracuse not had first halves where they can't score more than 15? How do you know somebody else would have scored? How do you know somebody else would have picked up? How do you know that? Right? If Steve Kerr didn't hit the corner 3 on Jordan's team, how do you know that Tony Kukoc would have? You speak in probabilities or hopes. All I'm saying is Cole Swider meant something to the team. Last night, in a massive way, he meant something. That's all I said. That's all I meant. Food for thought. Take away his 21 points. Take away his performance, and this team is down by a lot. So then what's your argument? Well, other people would have scored. Okay, but what would the score have been? 41-15, 41-20, 41-22. What I'm saying is with Cole, they're down by 5. Without Cole, could have been down by 30. That's all I'm saying. How do you know anybody else would have gotten hot? But wake up this morning and be happy for Cole. Wake up this morning and be happy that the majority of the time that Buddy Boeheim scores 20 or more points, the team wins. Wake up this morning and be happy that Jimmy Boeheim's baby hook and the things he's been able to do inside have been helpful, or the fact that he tipped in a ball late in the game that kept Syracuse in the game. People want to focus on everybody's mistakes, but not on the good things. Jimmy Boeheim's not in that game yesterday. Syracuse doesn't get closer when they needed it down the stretch. Cole Swider's not in the game because, to some fans, don't play Cole. He sucks. Okay, so what if Jim Boeheim listened to you? What if after the Notre Dame game he listened to you? So then Cole doesn't play and doesn't score 36. Then you're wrong. You know what I mean? And I think Jim deals with that all the time is people say, Jim do this, Jim do that, Jim do the other thing. But sometimes you're right and sometimes you're not, right? You're going to be right at some point. Unless you're just totally out of your mind. If I say, who should they play and you go a butterfly, then, you're wrong because you're insane. But beyond that, the reality to me is that it's not easy to coach and it's not easy to play the game, okay? Do I criticize? I constructively look at this team, There's a way to do it where you constructively look at the team. And I constructively do that. I constructively say, this could get better, this maybe we could improve here, maybe this could be better. But to never be destructive, right? To talk about a player in such a way as if I know that he has a mom and a dad and a brother and a sister and a girlfriend and friends and the fact that he's a human being and I shouldn't be a jerk and I wouldn't want somebody waking up every morning telling me that I suck. So there's a way to talk about a team that's struggling without disrespecting the people. And it's a fine line. And I don't think people think. I think people are quick on their Twitter fingers And everybody's so quick to typey. But I think it's really funny that some of the biggest Syracuse fans in the Syracuse groups are always negative. You know, it's like, are you a North Carolina fan in the Syracuse group? Are you a Duke fan in the Syracuse group? Because if you're a fan, try to find the positive, okay? You know, try to find the positive. My Raptors didn't win a championship for 24 years of me being a fan. But I was a fan, and I found the positives, right? Damon Stoudemire, Tracy McGrady, John Wallace, Vince Carter. You know, I found the positives. The coaches I liked, the players I liked, the atmosphere, Canada, Toronto, the people. I found the positives. When I look at other things, like Syracuse, could they be, and if I sound different, I'm still under the weather, so please forgive me for that. I'm trying to fight through it. But, you know, when it comes to Syracuse, Boeheim's been the coach for 46 years. Do I agree with everything that he does? No. But do I agree with everything that my mom says or my dad says or my best friend says? No. That's the point of life. We don't always agree, but you have to respect each other. And I respect Jim Boeheim. Do I agree with every play he's ever called or plays he hasn't called or defenses that he's done or not done or when to use a full court press? Do I agree with everything? No. But do I respect him? Absolutely. Do I understand how to talk with him? Yeah. Because I pay attention. You know, if you walk up to Jim Boeheim and say, Jim, you've lost the last 16 games against North Carolina. How bad do you suck? I mean, first and foremost, how would anybody answer that question? And so the reality for me is every coach right 100% of the time? No. Jim Boeheim's lost 424 games. But does he know what he's doing? You know, in my opinion, does he care? Yeah, it looks like he cares about his players. Does he want to win? Yeah, or else why coach? Is he, you know, and I think what it comes down to this morning is, did anybody really think after that Duke game that Syracuse is going to be relevant against North Carolina? You know, so the fact that they played into that game and they played as well as they did for as long as they did, and that they lost in overtime, am I going to knock this team? No. Joe Girard, who people rip apart, hit big-time shots. Okay? Outside of that, Buddy Boeheim, who people rip apart, hit big-time shots. Cole Swider, who people rip apart, hit big-time shots. If any of these players listened to your BS, they wouldn't have done anything last night. Okay? When you told them all to quit, you told them all that they suck, they wouldn't be anywhere right now. They would have given up, but they didn't give up. And I credit them for that. I credit them for not giving up. I credit them for getting after what they wanted to get after. And so, you know, for me, I stand here this morning saying, Syracuse, I'm proud of you. To the team, I'm proud that you're fighting. To everybody out there, regardless of division and conference and sport and whatever, if you're out there getting after it, there will always be a heckler in the crowd. Okay? I never thought, growing up in Syracuse, that there would be as many people at home in the Dome screaming. Like, why are you giving, like, what? Why are you a Syracuse fan treating the Dome like it's Cameron Indoor? Why are you a Syracuse fan treating the Dome like it's the Pete in Pittsburgh? Why are you a Syracuse fan pretending that they're on the road at Georgetown or at Villanova? I never thought I'd live in a world where Syracuse fans would be so hateful of their own team that it would actually look like these players were playing on the road or sound like that they are. Respect your team. They're going to get enough hate around the country. Why would you wear a Syracuse jersey and then scream at your own team? And I think we live in a society where we've been told it's okay, right? It's okay to have an opinion. And it is okay to have an opinion. But it's not okay to be a jerk. And there's a difference, right? Because if you were talking to someone you love, would you be like, you suck, you're terrible at your job, I hate you, I hope you die, here are my notes, go get better? No, you wouldn't talk to your mom like that. You wouldn't talk to your dad like that. Or if you did, I wouldn't want to be your parent. And so you wouldn't want somebody to talk to you like that. Most of the people that sling mud could never had it slung at them. They get a little tiny piece of mud on their pinky and they start crying, oh my gosh, I gotta go take a shower. Mommy, my boo-boo. Most of the people that sling it can't take it. And all I'm asking fans to understand is, yes, the team is 15-15. I get it. But Jim Boeheim and this Syracuse team, in his 46 years, have won 1,098 games. He has an over 70% winning percentage. And I just think, I get to know the players. And that's what these fans, a lot of these fans don't. I get to know them as people. I get to know them as friends. And when they tell me that playing in the Dome sometimes made them feel like 30,000 people were screaming at them, hating them, it hurts. And I think you got to support them. Baramba Sidibe doesn't forget that he was booed 1,000 times. He doesn't forget that. He knows that you cheer on him now, but you thought he sucked 5 days ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. Would you want to have friends like that? Where they hate you, love you, hate you, love you, hate you, love you, love you, hate you, hate you, love you, hate you, love you, love you, hate you. If you're a fan, you love your team. If you're a fan, you could be frustrated, you could talk about it, you could bring up your points constructively, but you're not destructive. Because if you're a fan of something, you don't want to see it die, you don't want to see it go away. If you're a fan, you're going to stay there no matter what. You can talk about it. We talk about it on the show all the time. And Terrence Roberts is on the West Coast here, was carried on later at work this morning. We were trying to catch him in between, so we'll try and catch him at another time. But we appreciate T-Rob, and I look forward to having him on soon. Another friend of the show, another friend of mine. So, to bring it all together, you're either a fan or you're a fanatic. You're either a whack job that screams at the game and very rarely knows what you're talking about, or, even if you do know what you're talking about, you're just evil, or you're a fan, right? And that doesn't mean that it's sunshine and rainbows. You can constructively criticize something and want it to get better. The people that I surround myself with are not yes people. They don't tell me what I want to hear. They tell me what I need to hear, but they tell me in a way that makes me feel comfortable and respect them. Somebody screaming at me, telling me I'm crap and I'm an idiot and I'm stupid, I'm not going to listen. But if somebody says, hey, Dan, you did this, this, and this. Could you maybe try this way? See if it works better. And then let me know. And then we work on it together. There's a way to speak, and that's all I'm saying. And I think that, this season at 15-15 has really shown that there's people that have no couth, right? Have no etiquette and don't know how to speak. If this is your team, then stop bashing them. You can constructively criticize them. You can have thoughts about them. You can disagree with certain things. But when you're hateful, you discredit everything about yourself. When you're mean, you discredit everything about yourself. I said something nice about Cole Swider and I got attacked. I'm not even Cole. I said, hey, Cole did a great job. Look, without him, we wouldn't have done this, this, and this. You're attacking the messenger now? Like, if you're a fan, be a fan. If you're going to hate and hate and hate, then stop wearing Syracuse merchandise, move out of the city, and get a life. That's reality. Duke fans don't need Syracuse fans to hate their own team to help Duke. North Carolina doesn't need that, right? Syracuse fans travel all the way to Chapel Hill to boo their own team. I mean, come on. So the reality of the fact is simply this. I've been to games with kids. I've been to games when I'm coaching 8 to 11-year-olds. I've been to games with teenagers. I've been to games with college students. I've been to games with pros. There's always somebody in the stands that hates what's happening on the field or the court. Find a way to speak with respect and remember that who you're talking to and who you're talking about, if you would want them to speak back to you the same way. And maybe, just maybe, you can have a conversation that gets somewhere when you realize that the way you're talking about someone or to someone is probably not the way you'd want it done back to you. With that being said, we'll be back right after this fast break. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. Proud to be inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios with locations all throughout Central and Upstate New York. And we were expecting to have him here a little bit ago, but we're able to get Terrence Roberts here on the West Coast. So, as promised, T-Rob here with us, Syracuse Orange inside man, alum, and here to talk about the state of Syracuse basketball. So very excited to have Terrence Roberts here, and we'll extend the show out for Wake Up Call. Under promise, over deliver, and that's what we're going to do. Terrence, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, absolutely. And Terrence, just, what you could say about what I was saying before the break, and you've experienced this, Syracuse fans versus fanatics. just people that, I mean, I woke up this morning and people are sending hate to Cole Swider and, he scored 36. Why don't you do this every game? Why didn't you do this last game? What's wrong with you? And I'm sitting here going like, man, if the man wasn't there, they would have lost by like 30 points. So, I mean, how do you take, I don't know, how do you take that? How do you take, I mean, as a player too, just to see people that wear maybe your team colors, yet they're on message boards in the morning screaming hate about the team that they claim to love.
Yeah, it's tough at times. It's tough at times, but when you're dealing with a lot of young guys, it's kind of to be expected. And with the young guys comes inconsistency. So when you're going to be inconsistent, you're going to have bumps in the road. They'll get better as they go along, and they'll start to understand their roles a lot better. But they have to learn to ignore the naysayers and all the negative press that they're going to get from how they're playing this year and just build on it. Keep that chip on their shoulder and just continue to get better game by game.
Yeah, because, I mean, this and what have you taken away from this team? I mean, they have been consistently inconsistent, but what have been the positives you've taken?
They still play with a lot of excitement, even though they don't play very well. They play for each other. The chemistry just doesn't seem like it's there yet. So I think that's what's kind of missing. They don't have a lot of dogs on that team right now. I don't know if they know what it is to be a dog and go out there and get it done by any means necessary, but I think that will come in due time. They just, they got to have guys that are going to sit down, watch film, and really figure out what their roles are on the team.
And seeing this team be where they are, they're 15-15, Terrence. Are they better than their record shows, in your opinion? How do you assess Syracuse right now as they get set for the ACC tournament?
They're definitely better than their record shows, but like I said, the inconsistency will always hold true. Like your youth will always hold true to how you play. The younger you are, the tougher it's going to be down the stretch. I mean, right now they're probably not even they're definitely not a tournament team right now.
Yeah,
they'd be lucky to get into the NIT, honestly, with the record they have. So, they just have to build. They just have to build, get better, and really focus on what it is that's going to help them move forward and get stronger and be a force when next season comes around.
And with what Jim Boeheim said, which I found it kind of uncharacteristic of Jim, he typically doesn't talk about anybody leaving, especially during the season. He said Jimmy, Buddy, and Cole are done. Do you buy that? And what do you take from that Jim has stated what seems to us to believe that, three of the main components of this year's team are going to be gone next year?
Well, I mean, aren't most of those guys, aren't two of the three seniors?
So Buddy can come back for a bonus year. Cole has another year due to the pandemic as well. And Jimmy can ask for a waiver because the Ivy League didn't grant that extra year. So they could all come back. 2 out of 3 definitely could come back. But as far as being done with their degree, yeah, they would all be done.
Yeah, so, I think making a statement like that, he's trying to light a fire into the rest of his team. Like, you guys just kind of remember what he did with us at the end of the year where he said, we wouldn't have won 10 games without Jerry McNamara.
Yeah.
We all took that to heart. Every single one of us. Like, that was a disrespect to us because we felt like we couldn't get it done without him. So we got better from that. So, maybe he's trying the same thing with them.
Yeah, and it would make perfect sense if he is. I always feel like he's got something up his sleeve. So, speaking here...
Come on, Jim's always got something up his sleeve.
And there's a lot of reality to that statement. Terrence Roberts here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Terrence, like you said, a youthful team, a team that's learning. Benny Williams, one of the things that really... There's 2 things about Benny that have nothing to do with Benny's play. And they're 2 things that frustrate me in the world that we live in today. Number one, that people don't seem to remember that Jim Boeheim typically does not play true freshmen if he doesn't have to. And so it doesn't really matter what the world is. Jim is Jim. And so Benny's the only true freshman on the team. So it would be normal for him to not play as much. Secondly, the fact that the media, just a few games in, and yes, I am a member of the media by definition, but I always tell you, and you know it from getting to know me, I'm a member of the media by definition, but not by attitude or not by morals or values. I would never ask Benny this question because I think it's ridiculous. But we're like I don't even know, a few games into the season, and people are like, are you going to transfer? Are you going to leave? You're not playing. You're transferring, right? And just feeding this this world that we live in today where if you don't play immediately, then you can boo-hoo and go transfer somewhere else. What's your take on the Benny Williams thing where people are saying he needs to play, telling Jim he's got to put him out there? And then secondly, the fact that the media went to Benny and tried to almost push him to transfer just so they had a story.
Yeah, the media is going to do what they got to do to, keep their eyes on them. They want to be the sixth man on the court. So, you can't really, as a player, you got to know what to listen to, what not to listen to. These young kids nowadays, they have that advantage where they can just transfer and then go somewhere and play the next year. I believe Benny should have been playing, and he should be playing a lot more for sure. He's a very talented individual, but it's up to him. Him staying or him going is really going to be up to him. I feel like if he stays, he'll have definitely a chance to flourish. At least give it another year, But the media is definitely wrong for that, and that's probably had a lot to do with Jim saying that those three guys are leaving, because if those three guys are leaving, he now becomes the main guy.
Yeah, and maybe that's to light a fire. Maybe it's, to help in recruiting because Jim's trying to lock in one more player. You never know. But, to look at the fact that his sons are playing, Terrence, you being a part of the team, you have a unique world like so many other players did, that being coached by Jim Boeheim means you were around his family. So you were around a Jimmy and a buddy running around, little kids in the dome. How surreal and strange is it for you that they go from being little kids in the dome to being the guys on the floor in the dome playing for Syracuse?
It's pretty amazing to watch for the simple fact that, they were constantly working. It was never really a dull moment with those guys. They were always in the gym. They were always around us, watching, playing with us, playing one-on-ones with us. So, I really thought it was inevitable. I thought Jimmy would have ended up at Syracuse a lot sooner than he did. But, it is what it is. But it's just good to see, man. I watched coaching those kids at basketball camps, at the Syracuse basketball camps with my little brothers, It was destined. Buddy was a scorer from day one. Jimmy was a big body who was always physical and was playing with us at a young age. So I knew it was good things coming out of him. So, it's a blessing to watch their growth as they come along in their career.
That coming from Terrence Roberts here inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora live. Terrence, for the big man, you and I have talked about it before. This isn't the Big East. I miss it like crazy. And I'm living in this weird world because the ACC tournament's in Brooklyn, and 24 minutes down the road, the Big East tournament is in Madison Square Garden still. And I'm just going to throw this out there, and I haven't thrown it out there yet. If and when Syracuse loses in the ACC tournament, can they sneak into the Big East tournament is what I want to know.
That would be
Just
cool.
be like, yo, Villanova, surprise. But, I just, it kills me, man. So I want to go back to that. Now that UConn's back in the Big East and Villanova's there and you got St. John's and Georgetown and Seton Hall and Providence and all that, does it just feel like everybody's back eating spaghetti dinner, but Syracuse didn't get the invite this year? Doesn't it feel like all the people are at the table and there's that one seat that's left open? Because now it just feels strange with UConn back especially that, you don't have Syracuse there.
Yeah, it's the problem is the Syracuse football team has been, in all those schools you named, their football teams are trash. So, we have good years, we have up years and down years. We've been pretty solid for the last couple of years. So the chances that we go back to the Big East are slim to none.
Well, and that's the thing is they couldn't go back to the Big East for football. They'd have to go, to another conference, maybe the American Athletic. So it's definitely an interesting world to see where things are, as of right now. But I miss it, and I miss the punch down dragouts. And you got to be physical, Terrence, on the inside. When you watch the college game now, do you feel like it's missing that? Do you feel like, the way the fouls are called and the different rules that have been put in place, that it almost diminishes the ability for a big man to be effective underneath?
In all honesty, man, I've probably watched 3 games all year because of that. It's just, it's completely taken the excitement out of the game for me. There's no physicality. Like, a majority of these guys are soft. You have the really talented guys who can play inside and out that are just gifted. But the rest of it is just like, it's just not exciting basketball.
Yeah, go ahead.
For me, even watching Duke isn't exciting. And they got a bunch of first rounders on their team. It's just not exciting basketball right now. Chuck threes, hope they go in. If not, get back on defense, and we're going to chuck threes again next time we get it. Like, that's not fun basketball to me.
And the thing is, I think, and it's right, I've talked to Jesse Edwards about it this season, where I told him, I said, as a big man, do you just feel like, you're hindered, that you can't do anything? Because there was, multiple plays this season where he went after the ball. There were plays where he had his hands straight up in the air. And, the guy comes into him. He doesn't bend his hand. He doesn't move his hand down. He's standing there straight up. The guy moves him, and he gets called for a foul. I feel like it's dang near impossible now. I think the taller you are, the more you're going to get called for a foul no matter what you do if you move your hand down just a little bit. But you being a former big man, like you said, you've only watched 3 games because of that, which plays to my point. And I didn't know that going into the conversation. But just, as a big man, you're supposed to block shots. And I feel like the way the game has evolved or devolved, it's turned into a place where if you try to block a shot, you're probably going to get called for a foul.
Exactly. It's a guards game. It's a complete guards game. They want to see the guards go off, and that's their main focus. So it makes it tough for the bigs, and this is why bigs slowly start to trend out to the 3-point line.
And that's and you see that change. Do you look back on your days? If you were playing today's game, when you were playing at SU, like let's fast forward, let's say you got recruited, you played now instead of back then. Could you see yourself transitioning your game into trying to become a 3-point shooter? How would you play today's game, or would you still want to be a traditional big man?
No, it would be pointless to be a traditional big man, because a traditional big man nowadays is a athletic guy who can run and jump, spread the floor. And if you remember my freshman year, that's what I did. Whenever I was in there, my freshman and sophomore year, when I played the 3 and the 4, for the most part, it was just get in, and Hack was the one in the post, and I just spread the floor, and I just shot threes out the corner, or I shot trail threes whenever Jerry brought the ball up, and I took the ball out of bounds. So that would have been an easy transition for me.
And that, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that, and then that really just opens up the floor for me. Whenever I played the 4 or the 3, whenever Josh Pace was out and I was the 3 and Hack was the 4 and Craig Forth was the 5, it opened up the floor for me to get offensive rebounds, because wasn't no 3-man guarding me, period, on the court. Didn't matter who he was, they were just too small. So these young kids just really have to learn how to use their size and their ability to their advantage, because there's always a way to beat the system. You just have to figure it out. You got to study the game a little harder and figure it out.
And speaking of a way to beat the system, it plays into my next point of Jimmy Boeheim. Jimmy, coming from the Ivy League and coming from Cornell, wasn't given a lot of respect. It was, oh, okay, yeah, he's going to come play here because, Jim Boeheim's a coach and yada, yada, yada. But what I've seen from Jimmy, as I said, arguably he's the most fundamentally sound player on the team this season. And he knows with that little baby hook, he kind of knows against his defender, how many dribbles can I take and go up. He doesn't get blocked a lot. And so I've just watched his play inside. I've watched how he's utilized himself and where people think, okay, he's going to be outgunned and outmanned and out this and out that I think he's become smarter to the game to play to your point. Would you agree with that Jimmy Boeheim being fundamentally sound has aided him in playing at Syracuse?
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, brains wins out over bronze every time, especially in basketball. The smarter you are, the easier it is for you to figure the game out. Just think about it. James Harden played how many years in the NBA before they changed the foul rule, and he averaged 18 points from the free throw line a game. If you can figure out how to just get the ball in the post, throw a few pump fakes, and get to the free throw line, you're good to go. Just like if you can figure out I can get my hook shot off of anyone, it doesn't really matter. All you got to do is be patient and methodical, you'll be good to go. And he's an older guy, so he understands that.
Yeah, and I think, obviously what he's been able to do has definitely shown itself, including last night against North Carolina, where his tip-in helped the team to stay close late in the game. Jim Boeheim, 46 years. He was your head coach, many people's head coach at Syracuse for over 4 decades. I get asked this question a lot, Terrence. I know you know what I'm going to say. I get asked all the time, when's he retiring? When's he leaving? When's he done? When's he hanging it up? What do you think about Jim? When's he going to be over? Is he going to leave? Do you think he'll leave now? 2-part question. Number 1, how sick are you from hearing this? Number 2, do you know anybody else who's ever been asked about their retirement more times than Jim Boeheim?
No, absolutely not. Every time he has a year where he's fighting to get into the tournament, they're like, is he going to retire? Like, no. Jim's never going to retire. He's never going to retire on a losing season. Like, if the season isn't a good season, Jim's going to go out with a bang regardless. I don't care what anybody says.
My belief.
If they were a Final Four team this year, I would say, hey, he might leave. He might leave. Because then he's going to, if they were that, he'd have multiple draft picks on his team. That would be him going out with a bang. With probably both of his sons leaving to go into the draft and stuff like that. But I don't see that yet. I think Jim's going to go out on his own terms, and those terms are going to be winning terms for sure.
Well, my thing with it is I've had 2 theories, and because I get asked a question a lot. And so my one theory is if Jimmy and Buddy leave now to your point, this is, if he doesn't make the tournament this season, does he really want to go out like that? I agree with you on that. So I look at this and I thought to myself, hey, if this is Buddy and Jimmy's last season, then it would make sense for him to go, right? You leave with your kids.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was going to do initially, but not like this.
No, and so now but my thought going into this year, my thought about this season was if Jimmy and Buddy leave, he's either going to leave or he's going to die in the chair. Like there's one of 2 things. Either he leaves at whatever he is now, 78 years old, or he's gonna die in the chair. And but to your point, does he really want to go when he has a record like this? No, that makes sense. I think the thing with him is, getting to 1,000 wins. He'll be the only coach to get to 1,000 wins twice, mind you. And he has 997 according to the NCAA. He has 1,098 according to everyone else in the history of mankind. And, so I think that's obviously plays a role. With Coach K stepping down, I'm thinking to myself, if I'm Jim, I'd be like, oh man, I want to beat my friend. But then I'd have to coach, a bunch more years. But just kind of seeing the way that things are, I agree with you that I don't think he'd want to leave without going to the NCAA tournament. But what's your take on the fact that he publicly said Jimmy and Buddy and Cole are leaving? Because I've never once heard Jim talk about players leaving the school before the season's over. Do you think that was aimed at maybe doing something else? Do you think that he had a purpose behind that, or what's your take on that?
I feel like his purpose behind that was to just light a fire under the rest of his team. Finish the season strong, and then we go from there. But other than that, I don't know. I can't see the both of them leave unless he wants them to leave, so he can get certain recruits in and stuff like that. I think another year would benefit the both of them if they can get another year. They'll probably get two. If he named 3 people, I'm guessing they'll probably get 2 of the 3 back. But if the recruitment and all of that stuff is right coming in for next year, I think he's just trying to light a fire, help get more recruits in. Because, it's tough. It's tough for guys that want to come to Syracuse knowing that Jimmy and Buddy are there because they're his kids. If they was my kids, they're going to play every minute until they tell me they can't breathe, regardless of what's going on. So, and other people might not take it that way. Yeah. Other people might not look at it and say, hey, I feel like I'm better than Jimmy or I'm better than Buddy. I should be playing. Yeah, but that's not where we're at. People don't know. People don't want to come in and work for their minutes and do the body of work. Nobody wants to come in and just try to destroy Jimmy and destroy Buddy in practice and prove to Jim that, hey, I need to be on the floor. They just want to be given to. They just want it to be given to them because they're McDonald's All-Americans or they're Parade All-Americans or they're just gifted scorers or whatever. But they don't really understand how the system works. College basketball is a system. You got to figure the system out before you figure out your own game and how you fit into it.
I'm gonna ask you this because you talk about the system. What do you think will happen first? Syracuse will do something other than a 2-3 zone, or Jim Boeheim will retire?
Jim Boeheim will retire.
I knew that was going to be the answer because that would create the other thing to happen. So, yeah, that coming from Terrence Roberts. Terrence, before I let you go, talking to a big man of Syracuse history inside of the Cafe Kubal studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Let's go to the big men. Jesse Edwards, Barama Sidibe, Frank Anselem. I would love to get your thoughts on the gentleman and maybe some words of advice to the guys as a former big man of Syracuse.
Stay positive. You can't let the negative outside influence get to you. You got to stay positive, and you have to continue to work. It looks dark and grim right now, but it will get better. Years will pass. This year will pass, and then it's a completely clean slate. You got to dig deep. Continue to work hard and give all you got and prove all the naysayers wrong. You got to play with a chip on your shoulder, nonstop. Even when you get to the level where it's like, okay, now I'm a draft pick, now I'm on the board. You still got to play with a chip on your shoulder. You still got to play like you got something to prove.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely, and I love that. It's about what you think of yourself. Roosevelt Bouie came on right before you, Terrence, and he said something amazing. I said, what do you say to all the people, all the outside noise and like how to deal with it? He said, my mother told me, Liddy told him a long time ago, she said to him, all these people may not like you, but I love you. And to me, that just played into like, if they ain't eating at your table, if they ain't sleeping in your bed, if they're not going on vacation with you, they don't matter. And, they're going to listen. The people that hated Jesse love him now. The people that hated Barama love him now. People want Symir to play because he's not playing, but then if he made a mistake, they want him to sit. Everybody hates Joe Girard, but they loved him last night when he hit that baseline jumper. So, the reality of it all is a true fan is going to stick with you no matter what. A fanatic is going to like you when you're up and hate you when you're down, and that's just how it is.
All right. And it really is a part of the game. Like, all of these guys want to be professional athletes, right? What are you going to do when you're on a team that's 13 and 56? You know what I'm saying? And your fans are hating you and they want you traded. What are you're gonna respond to it, or you're gonna continue to live your life? You got to live your life. What other people eat don't make you go to the bathroom.
Can you say that again? That needs to be heard again.
Said what other people eat don't make you go to the bathroom.
I love that. I love that. That's some good stuff right there. That coming here from Terrence Roberts. Terrence, as always, I appreciate you. You know, as well as anybody, that during tourney week, regardless of Syracuse winning or losing, I spend the whole week next week with Syracuse Orange basketball alum. I'd love to have you back on the show. I know you came on for a little bit here, but I'd love to get you back on and just rep about your time and some other things. So if you'd like to come back next week, I'd love to have you.
Oh, just send me a date, man. We can get it done.
All right, well, listen, take care of yourself. Stay well, stay blessed. And what other people eat don't make you go to the bathroom. Man, that is my quote of the year, maybe in 2022. I love it. And T-Rob, thank you for everything. Thanks for being a friend. Thanks for being awesome. And you know I respect you way beyond basketball. So much love and much appreciation. And make sure you stay safe, okay?
All right, same to you, man. Talk to you later.
All right, take care. That coming from Terrence Roberts once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. Man, it is fun to be here with you all this morning and to extend this show out. You know, definitely excited to have you all here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. So thank you for being a part of the show. And we're going to go into our final piece here, under promise, over deliver. So we've actually extended our show out here today so that we can make sure to have T-Rob on the show. So now we're going to head off to the ingredients to success, proudly brought to you by Avicolli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. We appreciate them being open for us every week, Tuesday through Sunday. And of course, when I say open, that means that they are here with us open for indoor dining, also for delivery, catering, and takeout. You can call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering for Avicolli's. And of course, you can go there to the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York today, and make sure you dine in on their pizza side, their fine dining side, or you're over at the bar. And of course, as always, please drink responsibly. So I definitely appreciate you for everything that you've done to support Avicolli's and the ingredients to success. I come up with a new topic every single week on Tuesday to round out the show and then give the ingredients to success. And so, I think I want to go off of everything we've been talking about. So the topic of today is going to be mental toughness. And the ingredients to success: keep the outside noise outside, because by definition, that's where it belongs, as I've told you before. Know who you are. Always believe you can get better. If you're complacent, your game will be that way. Your life will be that way. If you accept mediocrity. See, the thing is, no matter how much I do, I'm always I'm not waiting for someone to go, oh, good job, Dan. Good job, Dan. Good job, Dan. Good job, Dan. But I'm also not waiting for someone to go, hey, you suck. Hey, I hate you. Hey, I hope you die. And you can't, if you don't let the you sucks, I hate you, I hope you dies, if you don't let them stop you, you can't, if you're not going to wait for those things to dictate where you go, you can't wait for the I love you, you're great, pat you on the back. You got to keep it all outside. And what I mean by that is, if you're waiting for accolades to move you, there's some days you may not move because you may not get accolades. And if you are going to be stopped by what other people say, then you're never going to be successful because somebody is going to hate you. Go on every YouTube video where there's thousands and millions or whatever people that watch it, whatever. You go on any of the Marvel, for example, Marvel, right? There's so many fans. There's billions of Marvel fans. And you go on to Marvel and you click on any one of their videos and there's 300,000 likes, right? And then there's 764 dislikes. And it's did those people really dislike it, or did they just want to go against the grain? And did they just want the actors to get scared, or did they want to just hurt somebody's feelings? When somebody publicly attacks you, it says more about them than it says about you, right? And because the thing is, if I feel if somebody says something and I think it's
Like, if somebody has an opinion about Syracuse basketball and I don't agree with it, very rarely do I like spend my whole day. I mean, I never spend my whole day arguing. I just look at it and I just go, okay. Like, if I put up a thing and I put like, Syracuse fans, tell me your thoughts on the season right now, and I'll go down and go through them. And the ones that I like, I click like, and the ones that I don't agree with, I just leave alone. But if somebody attacks somebody personally, I might say something and say like, hey, listen, like, knock it off. That's ridiculous. But I don't go through my life looking for negative comments and then trying to turn that person the other way. Very rarely when somebody comes out on their keyboard and they negative Nelly, very rarely do they say, oh, I'm wrong. Because they don't want to say, you know what I mean? They don't want to say to the world, I'm wrong. And they want to put it in writing that they were wrong publicly. So most of the time when somebody says something mean or hateful or negative, they're not going to come off of that. They're going to die with that statement. They could be wrong to the high heavens. Some people just like to get a rise out of people. And so I would tell you mental toughness comes from keeping the outside noise outside. Don't let the accolades, don't need the accolades to boost you up, and don't let the negativity stop you. Other part of mental toughness, know who you are. Do things that help you. I love cardio. I love going out and walking. It helps me clear my mind. It helps me get strong. Healthy body, healthy mind, healthy body is very real to me. I think another part of it of mental toughness is, studying. What you want to be good at, study it. Study your craft. If something sticks with you that somebody said, then it might be because you think, okay, I'm not trying that hard. You know what I mean? So you got to differentiate between what people say and it's asinine and what people say that like gets at you because you think, oh, okay, you know what? I was already thinking that. You know what I mean? Like if I'm late 3 times in a row and then somebody goes, yo, you're always late, that might linger with me because I know I was. You know what I mean? But if I'm not late and someone's like, yo, you're always late, then it shouldn't bother you, but a lot of times it does, right? You're going to turn around and be like, I've been early 40 out of 41 times, and you're writing back to this person, and it's like, dude, if you know the truth, then live with that. You know what I mean? And you're not put on this earth to prove other people wrong, and you're not put on this earth to make other people feel stupid. I'm on this earth to bring people together. You don't hear me fight with people on my show. I don't call people on the show fight with them. Well, Dan, it boosts your ratings. Yeah, and it wouldn't build friendships and it wouldn't make the world a better place. It wouldn't build a community. Do I agree with what everybody says? No. Do I disagree with what everybody says? No. But, I'm here to bring people together. I'm here to spread a message. I'm here to spread positivity. I'm here to, whether or not Terrence and I agree or not, that we could talk. Rosie and I agree or not, that we could talk, And like I said, I don't agree with every move that Jim Boeheim has made, but I believe we mutually respect each other. We've known each other for 10 years now through my job, and he talks to me, I talk to him, I ask a question, he gives me an answer. We've talked one-on-one, we've talked in his office, we've talked at press conferences. We've talked at golf tournaments, we've talked at events on the side, just him and I. We've talked off the air, we've talked on the air. So, does that, you know what I mean? But it's like when I disagree with certain things, I give my point and then I move forward, and it's never for like Jim to be like, oh my God, oh, Danny said this, oh, I should change it. You know what I mean? Like you have to be who you are. You have to be mentally tough. That doesn't mean to be stubborn. There's a difference between being mentally tough and stubborn. Stubborn is you're set in your ways even when you're wrong. Mentally tough is that you can take the negativity and you can bounce it off. It means you can take loss. You can take when things don't go your way. Like I don't feel 100%, right? So I could say, well, my voice isn't normal, so I'm not going to do the show. Man, I'm probably going to sound nasally. I'm going to sound congested. People might make fun of it. If people want to make fun of me for being sick, you got a lot of problems. You got a lot wrong with you mentally, okay? There's some type of trauma that you've dealt with if you're making fun of people that don't feel good. So, but that, you have to focus on what matters in your life. You know what I mean? And what matters to me is, what if my dog died today or tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure I'm loving her today. If I'm worried about what somebody said to me on Facebook, then I'm not loving my dog. And, you know, if I'm not taking care of my cardio, then I'm not loving myself. And if I'm not there for like a friend in need, then, you know, I'm not doing what I would want somebody to do for me. So I think being mentally tough, it means you have to develop yourself. You have to know who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, then people will dictate to you who you are. And as I said before on the show, if you don't tell people who you are, the world will tell you who you are. Right? If you don't tell people who you are, the world will tell you who you are. And what I mean by that is, if you don't know who you are, then you will be manipulated. You will be brought up and down with people's emotions. People that hurt other people. I have conversations with people all the time when we agree and disagree, and I have fun with it. My best friend Evan, we disagree on a lot of different things, but we have so much fun with it because we learn from each other and we respect each other. That's rare, especially in the public forum of social media. It's rare to have an opinion and have like all these people attack you and then not have anybody go, oh, you were right. You know what I mean? Like, when I was right about the 2016 Syracuse team, nobody gave me credit except for me and the people that love me and know me, the people that I break bread with. The media didn't give me respect. The newspaper didn't give me respect. Nobody wrote an article about me being right. It was supposed to be a joke, and it was supposed to discredit me. And when I was right, I got no credit. So there's the irony of they try to discredit you, but then they give you no credit, right? So they try to take it away, but then when you've earned it, they don't give it to you. It's like your boss trying to take away shifts, and then when you work a shift, they don't pay you. And that is what you deal with all the time. And Jim Boeheim deals with that. Jimmy deals with that. Buddy deals with that. But you have to shut it out. If Syracuse's team listened to what all of these quote-unquote fans and aren't really fans, what all these haters had to say, they would have lost miserably yesterday. They would have lost by 40. And they forced overtime. So, you know, I commend everybody who's trying to live their dreams. Unfortunately, in the world of sports, when you're trying to live your dreams, a lot of people judge you by wins and losses. But the coaches that I know, that I've said, like as an example, there's coaches that I know that have been fired from multiple jobs because they're part of this staff, or they left this job, this, that, whatever, and now they have a huge job. So if I judge them by wins and losses, I wouldn't be talking to them right now, and I see them succeed. And now I go back and I look at this and I'm like, man, they were building a network the whole time. All these naysayers were hating them, and they kept succeeding. And that's what I see with everybody that's successful, is there's always chirpers, but the people that don't listen to the chirpers, those are the ones that make it, right? You listen to this, you're not going to make it, right? You listen to people, I'm not going to make it, you're not going to make it, you're not going to make it, you're not going to make it. Well, you got to try to make it. And how dare somebody tell you their definition of success? It's not yours, right? My definition of success is to make a difference in this world before I'm done here. And I've done that. My definition of success is to build positivity, and I've done that. My definition of success is to love people and to accept their love and to let them know that I appreciate them, and I've done that. My definition of success is to build a community, and I've done that. My definition of success is to help is to get people to believe in my mission and my vision, and I've done that. I'm 36 years old. I'm successful. My definition of success is my definition. And we live in a society where mental toughness is so crucial because everybody wants to tell you who you are. Everybody wants to tell you what you meant. I've been in conversations with people before where I've literally told them repeatedly for 2 hours, this is what I meant. And they're like, no, you meant this, and you meant this, and you meant that. No, this is what, and you have to stop. You can't engage stupidity. Right? If this is what you meant, then this is what you meant. If I say the sky is blue and you say, no, you said that clouds are bad. No, I didn't. I said the sky is blue. Yeah, but by saying the sky is blue, you're implying that the clouds are bad. No, I'm not. So you have to know who you are. And you have to understand when you're in a conversation with somebody that just wants to fight, as opposed to a conversation with somebody who wants to learn. And maybe you learn. I love learning. I will never stop learning and growing. I love to learn. I love it. Sometimes it means more work for me, but that's okay because I'm learning. And I enjoy learning. And I enjoy growing, and I enjoy multiplying success. So mental toughness for me is not a sometimes, it's an all the time. Without it, it's like going into the world without armor on. You have to wear it. And so to my mentally tough people out there, I commend you. And to everybody who's struggling with it, I pray for you to be mentally tough and to know you can and you will achieve your dreams. In the great words of my friend Juanita, you can and you will succeed. So believe in it. This has been the Ingredients to Success, proudly brought to you by Avicolli's. Go and find them on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road for indoor dining, Tuesday through Sunday, and also for catering, delivery, and takeout, 315-622-5100. Tune in live to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on WakeUpCallDT.com. You can search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our archives on MixLR, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, Podbean, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. By searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora or Wake Up Call DT, you can find our shows, including over 1,500 shows on Podbean right now. Thank you to our Central and Upstate New York partners and beyond, Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, PB&J's Lunchbox, Honda City of Liverpool, Avicolli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. You can go to maandpazpopcorn.com and get your kettle corn and popcorn sent to you, as well as all their treats anywhere in the country. By going to maandpazpopcorn.com, they will deliver to you. The Millhouse Market, Canine Campground, Dog Boarding, Pizza Man, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, and Mother's Cupboard. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is also the proud multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Make sure you go to WakeUpCallDT.com and bookmark the Lemoyne tab. You can also go to YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT and join us there as well. And I appreciate everybody who has subscribed to our YouTube channel. And a big ups to the Lemoyne Dolphins. Every single Wednesday is Dolphin Time. First and third Wednesday is AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, bringing you special editions with the Athletics Director speaking on so many different topics throughout each month and throughout the year. And every second and fourth Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we have Dolphin Dive with student athletes, coaches, staff members, and more, telling their stories of why Lemoyne here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find out more information by going to LeMoyneDolphins.com. And as always, Fins Up. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is also the proud multimedia marketing partner of your Marywood Pacers. Every single Friday is Pacer Pride, and that means there's a special with the Marywood Pacers happening every single Friday between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Love talking with our Pacers, Executive Director of Athletics, Pat Murphy, their coaches, and their student athletes. For their stories, go to youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT and click subscribe. You can also go to WakeUpCallDT.com and bookmark the Marywood tab. Find out more information at MarywoodPacers.com. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the proud multimedia marketing partner of your Bryant and Stratton Syracuse Bobcats. Bryant and Stratton College right there on James Street for us. And the Bobcat Buzz comes to you every single month. You can see all of those on youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT. You can also check out the new BSCSYR tab and bookmark that on WakeUpCallDT.com. Plenty coming up from the Bobcats, and you can watch back our specialty Mother's Madness Challenge with Bryant and Stratton, with their head coaches of the women's basketball team, Clay Gagan Sherman, and men's basketball team, Dan Frisina, as they went up against owner Pete Greene and myself, Dan Tortora, in our newest Mother's Cupboard Challenge with the Bobcats, with some awesomely colored and correctly colored French toast. So make sure you check that out. The Bobcat Buzz happening every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find out more information by going to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. With that being said, I hope you all have a fantastic day. Thank you to my tremendous guests this morning, Terrence Roberts, Roosevelt Bouie Jr., as well as Pete Greene, the owner at Mother's Cupboard. Head there every single day of the week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And make sure you try my chicken and waffles, which is exclusively available at Mother's Cupboard. And thank you to Bryant and Stratton once again for that awesome collaboration. Thanks to Clay Gagan Sherman, as well as Dan Frisina. Congrats to Dan on being our champion of this Mother's Cupboard Wake Up Call Challenge. Thank you to Avicolli's for the ingredients to success. Thank you to Terrence Roberts and Roosevelt Bouie Jr. once again. And thank you to you. Have a fantastic day. Wake Up Call on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT, and as